topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go, and lay it all down again, to hear you say that I'm a friend.
Hey, the Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. I've been actively serving him since 1993, over 32 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you will be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. My aim is to show you how to get close to Father. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you are in a spiritual no man's land, and you will not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they do not believe I exist? Yah is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve him and help him to have victory over Satan. Fundamentally, we each need to learn to see things on earth from Yah's perspective. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org for more information, for me to pray with you or pray for you, answer your questions. So today I'm going to talk about the essence of my message for the Jews, part 4, overview. If you're a Jew, a Yehudi, particularly an Orthodox Yehudi, I urge you to listen to this broadcast to the end prayerfully and then to pray the prayer at the end. This broadcast represents a headline view of most facets of my teachings as they apply first and foremost to the Yehudi. And as I say that, I've become acutely aware in the last couple of months in the sequel to what's happened with Gaza and Hamas and so forth, of the reality that there are only about 15 million Yehudi on the planet after they have been oppressed and murdered and pogromed and Holocaust and so many vile things. And I have it that it's true that the Yehudi people have a special place in the heart of the Almighty Creator. And consequent on that, I have it that the Yehudi people are particularly hated by the satanic and demonic realm. The satanic and demonic realm see the Yehudi as a great threat, as preservers of some fundamental truths, and they think that if they can eradicate the Yehudi, they will make life easier for the satanic and demonic realm on earth. So I hope that if you're a Yehudi and you're listening to this, that you understand where I'm coming from, which is a deep affinity for the Yehudi people. I believe that I've been told by the Almighty that my bloodline descends from Moshe, Moses, through Gershom, and that my family were part of the 10 tribes, or went with the 10 tribes when they left Israel with the first exile and never came back, and they migrated north into Russia and then west into Europe. And my forefathers ended up in Scotland. And so I see myself as not strictly a Yehudi because I don't come from Yehuda, but I see myself as a Yehudi at some level. And there are many that should see themselves as such and don't. So this is based on the article 2021-0107, The Essence of My Message for the Jews, Part 4, and continuing, the blessings of belief and the curses of unbelief. Those who do have true belief are blessed at some level with regard to healing, wisdom, protection, provision, favor, etc. But all of these require some measure of living above sin. Judaism has in large measure walked in this, but as noted above, this is slipping away. In a few hundred years, without a massive change, we will slip again into barbarism and satanic and demonic ways. Those who are not filled with the Spirit of the Almighty will be led by the demonic and not by the Almighty. Then my next point is virginity is set apart, in other words, in Hebrew, Kodesh, in English, incorrectly, holy. And a woman may covenant with only one man. Women are born with the seal of virginity, the hymen. Therefore, they may only covenant, have intercourse with one man unless they are widows or truly divorced. Adultery is sex with a woman who is one with another man. Men may covenant with, cover, protect, and provide for more than one woman. There are many errors in teachings with regard to the relationship of men and women today. Yehudi have greater clarity on this than Christians. Note that this does not prevent women from being powerful leaders. See the article on the website about the Virgin's Covenant, and there's also a message on the website about handmaidens of Yah, powerful women who serve Yah in their own right. And it's very clear to me, and it seems from what I've learned about Israel in the last few months, that this is recognized to some extent in Israel. That spiritually, men and women are equal. There is no basis to treat women as second-rate citizens. There is no basis to make them wear veils so that only their eyes show. There is no basis to make them wear head coverings on a daily basis. And there's certainly no basis to deny them education, etc. So there's a lot of things that are not associated with the Yehudi, which just are plain wrong about what the world does in terms of treating women. And then it's acceptable for more than one woman to covenant with one man. In light of the seal of virginity, it is acceptable and was in fact the design intention of the Almighty for a number of women to covenant with one man. However, in modern society, most women cannot handle sharing, so this form of marriage is mostly impractical. This does not alter the fact that it is powerful and pleasing to the Almighty when it works correctly. If you look under the page Men and Women on the website, you'll find an ebook, about 360 pages, the scriptural definition of marriage, adultery, and divorce, which is a very thorough biblical analysis. When I say biblical, Protestant Bible analysis. And there's much more to it than that. I've been down the road of having several wives, and it's extremely difficult. The women in this society, in this era, aren't geared to it. They're not brought up with it. They find it threatening and offensive. And my advice to any man who is contemplating taking a second or third wife is that I suggest you beware. Would not recommend it as a general principle. And then it turns out that Father says that there are 7 times more women than men in the body of true believers and in high places in heaven. See the webpage, Single Woman Believers, 7 times men. This is important in the context of Judaism, where there's a tendency for active religion to be dominated by men, and in some respects to be a bit harsh in that area. Rick Joyner, who's been on several visions taken to heaven, reports that there are many more women than men on thrones in heaven, and that there are many more women than men in the battle of the last days. And if you're a man, that should be a sobering and challenging statistic. If you're a man and you at some level claim to be a believer, and you make it to heaven, you're going to be quite possibly, depending on your attitude, quite possibly shocked to discover more women than men, a lot more women than men. And if you're a man who treats women badly, treats women as second-class citizens, treats women as chattels to be owned and used and abused, and somehow you're a believer, I have to say to you, you would be advised to get a wake-up call now than get to heaven and find that you're in a complement of people falling under the jurisdiction of a woman. Because what I can tell you is if you have a bad attitude to women, you're going to have that knocked out of you if you make it into heaven. And just on that point, if you're in the habit of using the Bible to prove your bad behavior towards women, it says, love your wife, your woman, as Yahushua loved the body of believers and gave his life for them. So love your woman no matter how badly she treats you. And then there's the other side of it, which is that you should treat her, well, you should treat her with respect. You should esteem her gently in 1 Peter 3:6, in case your prayers are hindered. And then we must keep the 10 commandments, the 10 words, and the great commandment. We must keep all of the commandments spoken out aloud by the Almighty at Mount Sinai. See the article Commandments on the website. In addition, the great commandment is love Yah, the eternally self-existing, your mighty one, with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul. And the 10 commandments are, Yah, the eternally self-existing, is one mighty one. You shall have no other mighty ones beside him, including not worshipping Yahushua. Folks, this is a big thing. There are a lot of committed Christians who believe that Jesus is God. And that's a huge stumbling block for Yehudi who take the commandment, Yah, the eternally self-existing, is one mighty one. You shall have no other mighty ones beside him, very seriously. And it's keeping you from experiencing the fullness of what is today available to you as a believer. Yeshua is a man, was never Yah. He was filled with, anointed with the Spirit of Yah. So he was an emissary and spokesman, apostle and prophet in the same genre as Elijah, Elisha, etc. He had no more supernatural ability than they had. He just knew how to use it better, and he was more powerfully anointed. But he is just a man. And so if that's a stumbling block for you as a Yehudi, please read on my website. There's a page called Can You Prove That Jesus is God? And there's several others about the errors around Yeshua. He's man, and that's all there is to it. Secondly, have no idols, including not worshipping the Bible or the Torah or the Quran, etc., as the word of God or similar, not worshipping the cross, which is actually a stake. So, and then do not take the name of Yah, the eternally self-existing, in vain, blasphemy, which includes not calling him God, which is a pagan name, or the Lord, which actually means Baal, or G_D, which is a bit silly, really, since God is a pagan name, or the Tetragrammaton, which is just a straight insensitive insult, or Hashem, in other words, the name. How would you like it if your wife called you, hi, hello, the name? It's silly, folks. His name is Yah. And it means a lot to him if you call him by his true name. Don't insult him with all these other names. It also includes not having a www.yahoo.com email address or website, etc. Coming back to idols. As a Yehudai, there's a bit of an issue there in the sense that you've put the Torah up on a pedestal and in a sense you worship it. You give it undue esteem. It's a collection of writings by human beings, not Moshe. It's a useful reference and it contains some inspired text, but not a lot of it. And that's where it stops, folks. In the Quran, if you're in the habit of threatening to kill people because they say things negatively towards the Quran, you're on very thin ice. Then keep the Sabbaths. We're commanded to keep the high Sabbaths, being Passover or Pesach, Shavuot, Pentecost, Yom Teruah, the Day of Trumpets, Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, the first and great days of the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot. And we're also commanded to keep the Saturday Sabbath from sunrise Saturday to sunrise Sunday. Now, you're going to challenge me and say, no. Saturday Sabbath is from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday. And I have to say to you, you mean to tell me that the day begins at night? No. Somewhere along the lines, people got confused, compromised, because it was easier to have a nice meal on Friday night and then refrain from preparing food, etc. on the Sabbath, on the Saturday. No, Yah says the Sabbath begins at sunrise on Saturday to sunrise on Sunday. But having said that, the majority of Yehudi are not really in breach of that because they don't actually go to work after sunset on Saturday, so they kind of comply. Keeping the Sabbaths is the most costly and most direct offering that you can give to Yah, and the Yehudai do that better than pretty much everybody else on the planet, which is why they're blessed. The Seventh-day Adventists are pretty good at that, which is why they're blessed. But there's a big piece that by keeping the Sabbaths, Yah will bless you. Commandment number 5, honor your father and mother, and if you curse them, you will die. Recently had interaction with a chap who was badly treated by his father during childhood, a lot of resentment, a lot of anger. And I had to say to him, my friend, commandment is honor your father. Don't swear at him. Don't get angry with him. Honor him. And he had a real tussle coming to do that. But as far as I can gather, the Yehudi as a whole are pretty good at looking after their parents. And then no murder. And that includes no abortion, and it includes no abortive contraceptives. Life begins at the moment of conception. That fertilized ovum travels down to the uterus. If it cannot implant, it gets ejected and it dies, and that's murder. If you have been using abortive contraceptives, be it loops or coils, or using chemical contraceptives to abort, to prevent conception, you're a murderer. You will spend, if you're a believer, you're a murderer. When you die, if you haven't repented, you will spend time in hell as a murderer. And then no adultery, which is about men having sex with women who are not virgins, given to themselves. And also it includes men with men. Now there's a big piece there. There's a whole thing about homosexuality. But at the end of the day, homosexuality is adultery. And the homosexual is no more of a sinner than the man who has sex with women who've had sex with other men. So if you are in the habit of looking down on homosexuals and you're in this habit of sleeping around, I'm sorry, my friend, you know better than they are. Then no stealing, and that includes taking tithes and offerings while preaching and teaching lies. And This is less of an issue for the Yahudi, although it probably does have a bit of a bearing, but certainly in charismatic Christianity in particular, and Christianity generally, you have a lot of pastors, priests, whatever you want to call them, taking up offerings for the church, out of which they draw their salaries. And they're teaching lies. They're teaching that Jesus is God. They're teaching that the Bible is the living word of God without error. They're teaching that a man can only have one wife. They're teaching and. So if you're a person who is taking tithes and offerings and teaching those lies, you're a thief. It's fraud. There's no false witness and no lying. It includes not teaching and preaching lies in the synagogue, the church, or the mosque, or whatever. So to the extent that you're teaching lies, you're a liar. Moshe didn't write the Torah before he died. The stuff that talks about what happened after he died was written by somebody else. And if you're going around telling people that the Torah is given by Yah, inspired by Yah, I'm sorry, you're a liar. And then and by the way, that applies to Muslims with the Quran as well. And then no coveting and no lusting. Fairly self-evident. If you're looking at somebody else's wife and having thoughts of having sex with her, you're lusting. If you're looking at a woman who is not free to marriage and coveting her, it's lusting. If you're looking at a car that you can't afford and intensely wanting it, it's lusting. So breaking any of the above leads to judgment either in this life or in the life to come. We're required to live free of all of these sins. Then prayer, worship, and fasting are vital. It's vital to pray regularly. In fact, pray in the Spirit without ceasing. Worship regularly and fast regularly. Fasting is a vital component of drawing close to Father. I advocate at least 7 3-day water-only fasts at weekly intervals as an absolute minimum, at least once a year for at least 7 years. If you want to push the envelope a bit more, you can do 14-day fasts or 21-day fasts. With a 21-day fast, if you want to go a little bit easy, you can take soup or fruit or whatever, which is apparently what Daniel did in the book of Daniel. You must take plenty of water, otherwise you'll damage your kidneys. And for example, when I fast, I take a small portion of bread and a half cup of red grape juice, morning and evening, rehearse the covenant, so that I am taking my medication on a stomach that contains something, otherwise you will damage your stomach. So there's some things that you can do there. And even if you don't have to take medication, you can still take the bread and wine of the covenant morning and evening during a fast. Then the 7 components of drawing close to the Almighty Creator. There are 7 major elements in drawing close to the Almighty. If you go on the website, in the top left-hand corner, there's the word home. Just to the right of the word home, if you look carefully, there's a tiny little triangle. Hover your mouse over there and a little drop-down menu will come down. And this, I think it's the second or third item down the list, the 7 components of drawing close to Yah. Click on that. You can read it online on the website, or you can download a PDF or a Word docx and have it printed, or just read it written under quite a strong anointing. The 7 components of drawing close to the Almighty. I strongly recommend that if you're serious, you get it, you read it, you apply it. And then prayer. There's a couple of pages on the website that give a whole lot of sample prayers. Not prescriptive, examples of what you can pray. But it's vital. If you want to get close to Father, you have to pray. And again, at some level, the Yehudi are probably better than this, than a lot of other people. The Muslims do their 5 daily prayers. And there's some challenges around that. And then fasting. You cannot really get close to Father without fasting. I only started to really get revelation and grow dramatically. When I started fasting, I went on, effectively ended up being 9 3-day fasts at 10-day intervals, seeking truth. And it just started. The names, Christmas, etc., the Sabbath. So I strongly recommend, and in the first part of the 7 steps is decision. Make a decision that Yah is real. Make a decision you want to get close to him. Until you've made those 2 decisions, the rest of it is futile. If you don't have a deep revelation of the reality of the Creator, it's kind of difficult to pray to him and fast to him. Then cleansing, which includes deliverance from demons, is a whole process in this document about symbolically shaving or really shaving your body, not your head if you're a woman, not your eyebrows, head if you're a man. Immersion, triple immersion, anointing your body with the blood of the covenant, anointing your body with the oil of the Spirit. Some radical stuff, a whole lot of spiritual audit, a whole lot of processes designed to get rid of the defilement of this world and get much closer to Father. Then worship. Again, if you want to get close to him, you need to worship every day. On the website, recommended worship songs, again, there's about 3 or 4 web pages with songs on them. It's a total of about just over 70 songs that you can download a zip file, or you can download them individually. And those have been carefully curated to be reasonably doctrinally sound. Some of them are a little bit dicey, but most of them are pretty clear, and some of them have been edited to take out Jesus and things like that. Then research to learn what Yah wants you to learn and do. He does not want you sitting in a seat, a pew, or whatever, in a church or a mosque or a synagogue or a whatever for year after year after year, abdicating to some other person to teach you and lead you. He wants you to have a personal relationship with him without going through any other human being and without going through any book. And as far as I can gather, there are a fair number of Yehudi rabbis who are relatively close to Yah. And there's some general Yehudi people, just men and women in the street, so to speak. But he wants a deep relationship with you. And then action, putting what you've learned into action with a view to aiming to become a friend of the Creator, your personal ministry. The above-mentioned article is particularly important if you decide to get close to the Creator. Then there was a global hydraulic and tectonic event about 4,500 years ago. It is so that there was a worldwide hydraulic and tectonic event, also known as the Flood, in which the entire planet was submerged in water as a consequence of an ice comet impact. The surface of the Earth was then totally mashed up, and the Earth expanded, draining the water off the continents. See the web page, Proof of Global Flood, and there's also a YouTube channel, Proof of Global Flood. It's important to understand that reports of finds on Earth that are millions or billions of years old are just plain incorrect. The entire surface of the Earth was formed about 4,500 years ago by the event referenced above. And when I formed, I say mashed up, eroded, deposited, eroded, deposited. You've just got to open your eyes and look all around you, the hills and the valleys, and there is no ways that happened gradually over millions or billions of years. It happened like that in a matter of a year, less than a year. In further, high levels of radioactivity were emitted during and after that event, with the result that there were major mutations and diversification of plant and animal species and degradation of human beings. Noah, or Nuh, was about 18 feet, that's 6 meters tall, and his house and grave have been found. It's estimated that there were 20,000 volcanoes unleashed during the flood. It wasn't just it rained and rained and rained. No, an ice comet hit, melted, the entire planet was submerged. The impact disrupted the Earth, knocked the Earth off its vertical axis, knocked it out of its circular orbit around the sun. Massive disruption, massive tectonic trauma, which is manifested in all the tectonic artifacts that you find on the Earth today. So the miracle of the flood is that Noah prepared the flood by building a boat and assembling a representative sample of animals and birds, and survived the flood despite tumultuous seas. Every living thing on the ark was strapped down, and then the Almighty put them into a suspended animation. There's a whole thing of people say, how did Noah have enough food for the elephants and the giraffe, etc.? Well, firstly, he took young animals. Secondly, they didn't take food, or they took a little bit of food, but they didn't take a lot of food. They strapped them down, and Yah put them into suspended animation. And when everybody else was strapped down, including the humans, Noah lay down, Yah closed him up and put him into suspended animation. And when the time was ready, Yah woke them up. Tumultuous seeds. The other thing to understand is that Noah took with him a very comprehensive technical library and tools and other artifacts, so that when they landed, they could plant, they could fashion, they took seed so that he could plant. He planted a vineyard, they planted grains for food, etc. They had animals for food. There's a whole lot of practicality around this that we don't read about. It's not in the Bible, and it's not, a lot of it's not anywhere else either. This is stuff that I've been shown. Then all people on earth today are descended from the three sons of Noah. All people on earth are descended from the three sons: Shem, the Jews, the Arabs, the Europeans, the Russians, the Asian Indians, the North American Indians, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, all at some level serving the Almighty. Some of them yes, some of them no. Japheth, the Japanese, Chinese, Koreans, and other Far East Asian peoples, idolatry and worship of the emperor, and Ham, the youngest of the three boys, most of Africa, and ancestor demon worship, ancestor worship. Now, there's a whole lot that I could share with you about that, but I don't have time to go into all the detail. But the thing is to realize that there are these three bloodlines coming out of Noah, and anything which says that any human being is descended from any of the children of Adam or whatever, not through Noah, it's not true. Really, it's not true. So one of the ironies today is they call it anti-Semitism. It's not anti-Semitism, it's Jew hatred. There are a lot of Semites on the planet apart from the Jews. I regard myself as being a Semite, a Shemite. And I hold, as I've just said, that the bulk, well, that not maybe the bulk, but a significant portion of the world's population are Shemites by descent. Out of the 10 tribes that migrated north, that were sent into captivity and migrated north into Russia, some migrated east, some migrated west. They were blessed because they were serving Yah, so they were victorious in battle. They had more children, they were more prosperous, they were more successful. And so the Shemites overran the areas that I've just spoken of. And that's a whole conversation for another day. And then creation took place in an evolutionary manner over millions of years. It's also important to note that the creation did not take place in 7 periods of 24 hours. The word translated day in Bereshit, incorrectly Genesis in most English translations, relates to a period of time of indeterminate duration. So creation took place in an evolutionary manner of progressive discovery by the Creator as he progressively created more and more complex planets, plants, animals, spirit beings, etc., until he finally created humankind just over 6,000 years ago. See the webpage Our World Today History. There are a lot of unbelievers because of believers who insist that this was all created in 7 periods of 24 hours. it's cognitively foolish. And there's no reason for it to be 24 hours. Why would the Almighty be in such a hurry and then sit back with what we have now? And I don't think that this is really an issue if you're a Yehudi. I think it's just a Christian issue. I don't have evidence of that, but I would think that most, maybe all Yehudi, understand that it's not 7 24-hour periods. And then Christianity does preserve some important truths. As mentioned before, Christianity is corrupt and pagan insofar as it worships a man, Jesus, and idolizes the Bible. The vast majority of people who class themselves as Christians today are classified by Father either as believing unbelievers, and there are tens of millions of them, or some of them are foolish virgins or adulterous wives, which are those that do believe in Yah at some level, but also worship Jesus and worship the Bible. At the same time, there are important truths preserved in Christianity, particularly the truth or the semi-truth about Yahushua, albeit it is masked by major error. Supernatural charismatic gifts are more widely present in Christianity than other religions for the most part. That said, most of the charismatic Christians today are adulterous wives because of their worship of Jesus and the Bible. See the page, The Demographics of the Kingdom of Yah, in December 2015 on the Demographics of Kingdom page on the website. So, the fundamentals of Yahushua being the anointed one who was to come as prophesied by Daniel and others is true. And the Yehudi, the scribes, the Pharisees, the high priests missed the boat when Yeshua came. And there's a tragic piece there because at that time the Yehudi rejected the anointed one, the Messiah. And at some level are still doing so for the most part. And now what saddens me is that there are Christians who are evangelizing Jews and leading them to belief in Jesus. And that's a backward step as far as I'm concerned. I think that's really, really sad. I've got a little bit of Hebrew on my website. I started building a Hebrew website. I've got a lady in Israel to do the translation for me. And then my funds run out. Hopefully one day I'll have more money and I'll be able to reinstate that website. Then your ministry. There's nothing in Yah's plan for this age that involves people sitting in seats being taught for years at a time. The intention is that you believe, clean up your life, look at the 7 components of Drawing Close document, and then go into ministry as either a spokesman or spokeswoman, in other words, a prophet or a prophetess, one who listens and speaks on behalf of the Creator, an evangelist, one who publicizes the matters of the Creator and leads people to belief, a shepherd, one who cares for the new converts and leads them to a point where they can enter into ministry on their own, and an emissary or apostle, a senior and experienced one of the above. An emissary is one sent by Yah. It is vital to understand that you're called to ministry. Basically, you should have an occupation that provides the finances of your ministry, and then you have a ministry that you self-finance. It's really not Father's intention that you should spend your life going to church, going to mosque, going to synagogue, and abdicating your responsibility for your relationship with him to some other human being. He wants a relationship with you in person. He created this whole universe, this solar system, this planet, the plants, the animals, and us for one reason only. He wants to have a deep personal relationship with every human being on the planet. And right now, there are very few of those. So he desperately wants friends, and I desperately want you to become a friend. And then it's not about the people. Many believers get sidetracked about the messed up state of the world and the distress and turmoil of the people. The people who are mostly in this distress are unbelievers, and they're there because of their unbelief. I'm sorry to have to say this to you, but Yah is indifferent to their lot. So praying for them and constituting ministries for them is actually a waste of time. Focus on getting close to the Almighty, then focus on reaching the believers, then the unbelieving believers and the believing unbelievers, and teaching them the truth. The vast majority of people who we today assume to be believers are in fact unbelievers because of the errors regarding names and so forth. So believing in Jesus is sin. It's breaking the first commandment. That person is not a believer. Right now, at the time of recording this, Yah is saying that there are about 1,500,000 true believers on earth, people who at some level have a relationship with him, and quite a few of those people are Yehudi. So if you're a Yehudi and you've been listening to this, well, thank you for hanging in there. I'm going to continue next week because I'm out of time, and I will wrap up next week. And I encourage you to go for it. Accept Yahushua as the anointed one who was to come, the Messiah. There's a book on the website, The Miracle of Yahushua's Death, which goes into exactly what he did, what he didn't do, and clarifies all the mystique and the wrong thinking about Jesus. And there are various pages that, for example, can you prove Jesus is God, which rebuts every argument that I've ever come across saying that Jesus is God, going through the Bible. There's other pages on the nine truths about Yeshua and the five lies about Yeshua, or vice versa. So I encourage you to go on the website and dig. So I'd like to ask you, what is the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to Him today. Do you talk to Him constantly throughout the day and allow Him to lead you in every possible way? Do you worship Him at every opportunity? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard Him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose, and you will be bitterly disappointed when you die. If you've now come to belief, please pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you in the name of Yahushua. I now believe that you exist. I confess my sin of unbelief and repent of my unbelief, and I ask you to forgive my sin. I now commit my life to you, and I ask you to take me by the hand and lead me into deep relationship with you. I ask you to fill me with your spirit and to change me and help me to become the person you want me to become. I ask you to help me find people who can help me, and help me find books, websites, articles, and other resources that will help me. I ask you to show me what I can do to actively serve you and lead others to deep personal relationship with you. Thank you for saving me. There's a period of 8 days from sincerely coming to belief for the first time, during which there is extreme grace, Chen, to help you. See the article, Critical Actions on First Belief, for actions you should take immediately. Drop me an email on james@endtimeissueministries.org so that I can help you, pray with you, counsel you, etc. I would love to hear from you. It gives me great pleasure and blesses me greatly when I get your emails. So don't hold back thinking that I'm too busy. I do my best to clear my inbox every day. So generally, if you email me today, you'll get an answer tomorrow at the latest. So I look forward to hearing from you. In closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you decide to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know, and I will connect with you by Zoom, Teams, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, or telephone so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week, when I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yeshua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. That's all. For those of you who've just joined this channel for the first or second time, please hang on. I've got a few things I want to share with you. For those of you who've been walking with me for a while, I guess you're going to drop off in a minute. So I'm going to say good night and have a great weekend and a great week. But I just want to make the point, it doesn't matter who you are. Father Yah wants a personal relationship with you. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, thin or fat, tall or short, educated or uneducated. Doesn't matter if you are blonde and blue-eyed or black hair and brown-eyed or anything in between. It doesn't matter if you're a Yehudi or a Muslim or a Christian or a Hindu or a Buddhist or a whatever. It doesn't matter if you're an outright Satanist. He wants a deep personal relationship with you. And I can help you. I'd love to hear from you. Got my email address. Please contact me. So good night to those who are dropping off, and let's move on. So in closing, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering and I'm a retired military commander. I now work as a management consultant. I have over 32 years' experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March 1993, when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room and I knew for certain that he was real. In learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor in preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator that forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, for an overview of what I believe, and there's also a web page which is Schedule of Beliefs. Please visit my website at www.endtimemissionministries.org. The ETI version of the Bible with correction of translation errors is on the ETI Bible version page. Recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far go to relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or search on Google for Relationship with Creator Radio. Transcripts are on the Transcripts of Broadcasts page. Books with teachings from 1998 till May 2019 are at the Books for Printing page. I publish regular email articles. See email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list or to seek counsel, prayer, or give me feedback. Visit the website and use the article keyword cloud, table of contents, article search, and Google search to locate the information you're looking for. Folks, there's a very substantial amount of information on the website. I've been writing since about 1997, and there's a lot there. All answers to all sorts of questions that you may have. And the article keyword cloud is a very substantial list of keywords which will help you to find what you're looking for. So that's it. I'm out of time. I'm going to say good night. Have a great weekend and a great week. And I'll see you next Friday. Thank you so much.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Are you truly aware of how my message applies to the Yehudi, incorrectly Jews? Please listen to my broadcast on w4cy.com internet radio or talk4tv.com internet TV to understand why I say this. This is part 4 of my message. My name is Dr. James Robertson, and I've been walking closely with the Almighty Creator since 1993. Visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org for a lot of information about the matters of the Almighty. For back issues of broadcast, visit www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to find out more. I look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.